My name's Nigel, and I'm not looking forward to this bit. This time, it's the biggest job we've done. We've got to pull the gearbox down, pull out the clutch, put in a new one. Let's get busy.
We had the car safely blocked up for easy access underneath, but the first thing we had to do was to remove the gear selector. To do this, we had to remove the centre console, a few sad looking boots, and then we could pull out the selector. We put some tape over the hole to keep stuff from falling in. Next was to drain the gearbox oil.
Actually looks in quite good shape.
Then we had to remove the front part of the exhaust, which I was a bit worried about as these fasteners can get stuck.
No, this is fine.
The front exhaust bolts were a bit trickier to get to.
Okay, so. Nice. Alright, there's one of them.
We needed all the extensions we had. And of course, one of the bolts broke and needed some gentle persuading to remove. But we got it off in the end.
One exhaust.
Next up, the drive shaft needed to come off.
More effort than I was expecting for these guys.
Then we were up for the gearbox removal. These bolts were a bit tricky to access, especially the ones at the top. The bottom ones were a bit easier to get to.
So far, so good. It says, optimistically.
We then had to remove the back bolts from the gearbox, which bolt onto a frame that runs down to the rear drive system. This is pretty unusual, but makes sense for a convertible. Then, there was nothing for it but some manhandling to separate the gearbox from the back of the engine. Using a trolley with a lifter made this a bit easier than it could have been, but it wasn't exactly easy. It took a fair bit of discussion and planning under the car to work the gearbox past a few things that it was trying to get stuck on.
Can we just hang up on there? That plate.
You I see what you're saying. We almost want to go forward again.
If I can get this over.
Hang on now, this is not supported here. You aware of that?
It is on this side, but it's because this is tilting it. So we just need to clear that. Yep, I think we're good. Okay, so let me drop it down a bit more.
Yeah.
And I'll just go gently.
Yeah, much smoother.
Try and go back, Nick.
We can't at the moment.
No, we're dealing with a separate problem.
Okay, hang on. You hang up here, right?
Okay. I think we're free. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to go down more.
Yep.
That's all the down we've got.
But finally, we had it down and we could access the clutch. We took a bit of care with the dust from the clutch plate.
Yeah, hold this one.
And carefully removed the clutch cover and clutch plate, which seemed rather eager to come off. The clutch plate and cover were both stuffed. And while we were at first hoping to get away without doing it, we decided that we needed to remove the flywheel to get it professionally machined and back into shape.
That's easy. That's much easier doing it this way. Alright, flywheel.
We were glad we did pull it off. It had hundreds of tiny fractures on the surface. Next, most important part of the job. Salzhana cake. This one was my favourite. Thanks yet again, Lynn. Also fresh out of the oven was a new clutch kit and machined flywheel. Shiny.
It's heavy.
The flywheel went back in place and was torqued up to the correct spec.
You're actually taking a surprising amount of force. I suppose 100 newton meters is a lot. Quick! 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 Done.
Then, a bit of a clean to get rid of any oil on the flywheel, and in went the clutch plate.
I'm a little bit nervous about leaving it there on its own weight, but it seems okay. Alright, this should be easier.
Then, the brand new clutch cover went in, taking a bit of care not to get anything on the cleaned surfaces.
Okay, back to where we should have been before. And I've got it in the wrong spot because there's no hole.
I got the alignment a bit wrong, but after a bit of using the old grey matter, it was all worked out.
There is a right way and a wrong way for this thing. And the process of discovering. There we go. Now we're lined up. Hang on. You know what I will do? I'll take out the correct alignment tool. Because that'd suck to leave that in there.
And then, gearbox reinstallation time. Installation is the reverse of removal. It turned out to be equally troublesome. We needed to get the height, angle, roll and position just right, and it really was a bit tricky. But thank goodness for extra help.
I got it in. Got it in. Yep. All it took was me not being down there.
Next up was to secure the gearbox correctly to the frame.
Okay, we'll just pump it. Oh, sorry, no. Yep, no. Alright, Dave, you alright? Yeah. That's it, I'm good.
And to get all the bolts torqued correctly. You really don't want the gearbox falling out mid-corner.
Like.
Then we bolted in the drive shaft, which was easy.
Oh, this sucks. This sucks a lot.
And then put the front exhaust back in. I was paranoid about forgetting to put the gearbox drain plug in, which would have made putting the gearbox oil in a bit of a disaster. Pretty much the last thing to do was put a bit of oil into the gear selector turret, and then put in the gear stick and the console. So, that's the gearbox back in. I'm glad that's done.
Alright, clutch is in. The old one, absolutely shagged. Gotta say a lot of thanks to Nico and to Martin. Couldn't have done the clutch work without them. But she's done now, so it's all good. So next step, should be going for a drive. See you next time.